kids! Good morning or good afternoon. It's me again, Teacher Tina. Today is Science 5. So before we start, please get your workbook and textbook. For workbook, please open your workbook, page 46 and 47. And for the textbook, please open your textbook, page 66, 69, 70, and 71. So before we start, our topic is about forces. So this is vocabulary of forces. Resultant force, measurement of force, spring balance, force arrow, direction, magnitude. So what is a force? A force is a push or a pull acting on an object. Again, a force is a push or pull acting on an object. So we use the spring balance. So this is the spring balance. This is the arrow. Again, this is the spring balance arrow. So we use the spring balance to measure force. Force is a measure in newtons. So if the force is going to the left, so the arrow is the same. So we use arrow to show the direction and magnitude of the force acting on an object. Again, we use arrow to show the direction and magnitude of the force acting on an object. So these are the example of force. A force is acting on the roof to the left. So, for example, this is the roof. When the force is going to the left, so the arrow is going to the left. So, because this is the force. Number 2 example is lotion. So, a downward force is acting on the plastic pump bottle. So, plastic pump bottle is when you push the bottle, the force is downward. So the link of an arrow shows the magnitude of the force acting on an object. The longer the arrow, the greater the force. So means if the longer, this is longer than the other pencil. So this is longer arrow, greater the force because this is the longer and this is the greater force. Who is the exerting a greater force and the father or the son? So who is exerting a greater force? Look at the arrow. This is the son and this is the father arrow. So the greater force is the father because the father is longer arrow than his son. So the father is the greater force. Next is spring balance. So spring balance is instrument used to measure a force. Again, spring balance, instrument used to measure. So unit of force is newtons. So use an arrow, this is arrow, to show the direction and magnitude of a force. Link of an arrow. So link the magnitude of the force. Okay. So what is resultant force? The resultant force is a single force that has the same effect on the object as all the individual forces acting together. Again, the resultant force is a single force that has the same effect on the object as all the individual forces acting together. So please open your workbook, page 47. So for page 47, if both forces are acting in the same direction, means same direction. So this is force A, this is force B, and this is the object. For example, this is the object, the box. So if the same force, so equal to force A plus use plus, then force B. Force A plus force B equal resultant force or newtons. Okay, next, the object will move in the same direction. Same direction is same direction as the force. So use again, if the same is use plus. Okay, number 2. If both forces are acting in the opposite direction, so means opposite. For example, this is the longer, this is shorter force. This is so force B, this is force A. So force A is greater than force B. So equal to force A minus force B. So the arrow is going to the right because this is longer than force B. So the arrow is, you need to write going to the right. The object will move in the direction of force A. Next, if both forces are acting in the opposite direction, means opposite, the same. This is opposite. Opposite direction with force B is the greater than force A. So force B is greater than force B. So the answer is force B minus force A, the equal to resultant force. So you need to write the arrow going to the left because this is greater than force A. The object will move in the direction of the force B. So because it's greater, so the arrow is going to the left. Okay, number 4. For example, so if both forces acting equal, so means the same, equal, on the object in the opposite direction. Opposite again. Opposite. This one and this one. This is opposite direction. So this is force B and force A. So the same, equally. So equal to 0, the answer is 0 Newton. The resultant force is 0. So the object will not move as the resultant force is 0. So these are the example. So number 1 example, this is the box. So for example, the force is going to the left. So 4 Newton and 6 Newton equals to 4 Newton plus 6 Newton equals to 10 Newton. So the arrow is going to the right because that is the force going to the right. So you need to write the arrow here. So number 2 example is 14 Newton and 5 Newton. Going to the left is 14 Newton and going to the right 5 Newton. So equal to 14 Newton minus, because opposite. So you need to write minus 14 Newton minus 5 Newton equals 9 Newton. So you need to write the arrow going to the left because this is greater than the left side. So number 3 example is 7 Newton and 16 Newton. The left side is greater than the right side is greater than the left side. So the force is 16 Newton minus 7 Newton equals 9 Newton. So the arrow is, so this is the greater, so the arrow is here. So you need to write the arrow going to the right. The last is the same equally. So 21 Newton to 21 Newton is equally force. So the answer is 0 Newton. Always remember, if the same, the answer is 0 Newton. If opposite is minus, if the same direction, plus. Next. So please open your workbook, page number 49, 50, 56, and 57. So number 1, what is a force? Okay, number 1, they have already answered. So letter B, what is the instrument used to measure a force? And letter C, what is the unit of force? Letter D and letter E, they have already answered. Letter F, what is the resultant force? So number 2 is right. Where is the greater force? This is not letter A. This is the example. So the greater force is going to the right, going to the left. So the arrow is going to the left. So 4 Newton plus 2 Newton equals to 6 Newton. So the arrow is here. So answer letter B, letter C, D, E, F, and G. So next, page 56. So an object is pulled by two forces. So draw an arrow in the diagram to represent the resultant force. So 36 Newton and 50 Newton, so equal to, letter B is two forces are acting on the object. Show the below what is the resultant force. So 12 Newton and 16 Newton, which is the greater force? So you need to write the arrow. So the next letter C is to show below what is the force that can be applied on the object to make the resultant force 0. Draw an arrow to represent the force. The resultant force is, the answer is 0. So what is the answer? You need to draw the arrow. So next, page 57. So the diagram below shows two teams playing the game of tug of war. So if team P is falling with the force 33 Newton, what is the force existing by the team Q to make the game a draw? Team Q is blank Newton. And letter B is, if team P is falling with the force of 46 Newton, team Q is falling with the force of 38 Newton, which team will be pulled toward the marker? What is the resultant force that pulls the team toward the marker? So, team Q will be pulled toward the marker by resultant force of blank. So, you need to write here what is the force. So, I hope you understand. Goodbye. See you again next week.